If you've been feeling signs of burnout and nothing seems to be working, I'm going to tell you why. This video is for corporatepreneurs who are tired, feeling really tired, but you know it's not exhaustion. And I'm going to help you correctly diagnose what this feeling is so that you can stop trying to fix it in the wrong way. So you have a great job, you used to love it, and now you have the Monday scaries every day of the week. You dread going in. You don't know why you just have this uninterested feeling about work. You can't quite put your feeling on it, but you know things just aren't the way they used to be and that something has changed and you are desperately trying to figure it out because nobody wants to be going into work with dread every day. So you have most likely considered yourself to be burnout. You've been on the job for a while. I always say that the first year of the job is like the honeymoon stage, and then after that, it is completely downhill. By the second year, you know everything there is to know, and the excitement is starting to fade. You know, if you got a huge raise, whatever money they're paying you, it's all becoming very normal for you. And so between year 2 and 3 is typically when people start to feel this sense of burnout when it's not really burnout. Because what's happening right now is that burnout is such a common term and phrase that everybody is just considering everything to be burnout. Because burnout is such a buzzword right now, I actually took the time to go see what it is. So, burnout is a state of severe emotional, mental, and physical exhaustion caused by prolonged, unmanaged stress, typically stemming from a chronic workplace caretaking or personal pressure. And so I think that's where burnout can really separate itself from anything else that could be going on with you is that are you under immense pressure right now? Are you coming out of a tough season? Maybe you work a job where, you know, there's a sort of a sprint where for 2 or 3 months you're like going all in, going above and beyond, giving more than 100%. And then when that's over, you just feel like you're going to collapse. It's almost like running a marathon and when the people just collapse at the finish line. If that's what's going on, maybe you are burnout. If you just came out of a very intense season at work, it's possible it is burnout. But for most people, there has been no intense pressure. There has been no spike in activity. They are simply losing interest in what it is that they're doing. And they think because they've been doing it for a year or 2 or 3 that that is what burnout is. No, that's just disinterest. And so what you start to do is you start taking more PTO. You start telling yourself you need a break. You start taking vacation after vacation, planning all these trips with your friends. And guess what? When you get back from vacation, you still have the Monday scaries. You are very rarely happy to walk back into work after you return from vacation. That alone lets you know that it's not burnout because burnout insinuates that it's something that you like to do. It's something you'd happily return to, but you just can't look at it right now. It's just, like I just can't even look at you right now, but I'm going to come back to you and be thrilled to work on you. It's kind of like those side projects that I take on with my social media. It's like there are times when I simply can't look at LinkedIn. Like I just can't look at it. And it doesn't mean I'm not going back to it. It just means I actually need a break. And so that's the differentiator and what you have to step back and look at. Do you actually need a break? Are you happy to return back to the thing? Or are you actually ready to move on? Is the thing just no longer serving you and you're actually trying to force a square peg into a round hole at this point? So you know it's burnout if you need rest. If rest will resolve the exhaustion, if it will resolve the feeling that you have of, oh, I just don't want to do this right now. But if rest doesn't fix it, it's something else. I keep mentioning that maybe you've lost interest in what it is you were doing. And I think losing interest and feeling tired and just feeling disconnected is a sign that you've just outgrown what you're doing. I think about when I discovered that I had simply outgrown manufacturing environments. I worked at several companies in the manufacturing environment where it's pretty much 24/7 operations. It's always on call. It's always on the go. There's always something broken. There's always something that needs your attention. And I did that for probably 8 or 9 years. And there were several times in my career where I thought I was burnt out. The first time my schedule was completely crazy and hectic was I think 7 days day shift, 7 days night shift. And there were 2 weeks in between where you kind of just floated. You didn't have any floor responsibility. That was exhaustion. That was a level of exhaustion I had never felt before. And after month after month after month of that, I was just simply burnt out. Like I just couldn't go anymore. And it's because I had been pushing really hard. And then the second scenario was when I was working at Tesla. It was another 24/7 situation. It was another always be available situation. And again, month after month, you look up, it's been 6, 7 months. You haven't had a weekend off. You haven't done anything fun. And you simply just can't push yourself any further. But then I had to step back and realize that why do I keep taking these jobs that keep pushing me to this limit? Maybe I need to step back and self-diagnose. Like maybe I've outgrown this type of environment. Like, when you're just out of college and it's just you can kind of be up for anything, right? It's, team no sleep. It's, you can do whatever it takes to get your career up and off the ground, go wherever you're trying to go and quickly. But the older you get, the closer you get to 30, 35, the less desire you have to go 100% all the time. The less desire you have to overextend yourself, to do the most. And I realized that I was just entering a season where it was like, I want to have predictable work hours. I know what time I need to be there. I know what time I get to clock out. I know what time I get to mentally turn off. And when I discovered that what I was desiring was no longer in alignment to the types of jobs that I was working, I knew I had to make a change, and I knew it was no longer burnout. I wasn't, tired and exhausted from the sprints of go, stop, go, stop. I was just simply over it. I had outgrown that type of work environment. And my example is more of a physical example, right? Like the hours and the attendance and all of that is what really wore me down and helped me see that that was no longer in alignment with my life the older I got. But for some of you, there's a myriad of reasons of why that may happen. It may not be a physical thing. It may be mentally your job keeps putting you in a space that you just don't want to be in no more. I start to think about like a lot of teachers who are like, I got to get out of the classroom, and a lot of nurses who are like, I got to get out of the hospital. And then you have like even hairstylists and nail techs. They're like, I need to get off of my feet all day. And so, it can cover a myriad of roles where you're just over what it takes to be high functioning in that job. And so you start to label it burnout when you're really just not excited about what you're doing anymore. And it could be a hard pill to swallow because there was a point where you couldn't wait to get in that role. You couldn't wait to get in that position. And now that you are 2 or 3 years into it, may possibly more, you're just like, this isn't it. And I think that's completely normal, right? I think there's a 3-year rule when it comes to jobs. The first year, you're very excited. Second year, you're floating. By the third year, either you really love that place and you are going to go the distance with it, or you're over it. You've seen everything there is to see. And do I want to continue in this space or not? And so if you are beyond the 3-year mark, maybe you've just been sitting in this space for years and haven't known what to do about it. But I'm here to let you know that everybody goes through it. Like around 2, 3, everybody goes through it. You're not alone. And so when you're telling yourself that, oh, I'm so tired, a part of it might not be from how much work took out of you that day. It's possible that you were understimulated and you are so underleveraged that it's literally making you feel tired. And you go home and you're like, I didn't even do much today at work, but I'm exhausted. And I think that's the mental strain that it's the mental battle that you're having with yourself because you should enjoy what you're doing, but you don't. And so for me, when I was hitting that wall with manufacturing, the one thing I did was step back from trying to find my fulfillment in work and trying to find fulfillment in my career. And I started looking out for outside fulfillment. What am I really interested about doing right now? What can get me excited? And possibly that energy can transfer into work again. And so for me, that looked like I was really interested in fashion. So I took a side job at a clothing boutique. I started taking sewing classes. I started really focusing on what could bring me joy, what could bring me excitement, what were some entrepreneurial things that I could do. I was really just looking for a new challenge. I think that's the thing that nobody is willing to say either. That when you are hired for a position, their goal is for you to stay in that position and do the same thing over and over and over again. But that's misaligned with the human psyche. We like new, we like fresh, we like exciting. And so, even if it's a good job or it's a good position, at some point, you're going to start feeling that blah because it is so repetitive and you're doing the same things over and over again. And you're simply just looking for something fresh and new. And so maybe that something fresh and new may come from outside of your job. And I want you to start considering that because for most people, either they up and quit their job or they bounce from job to job and the feeling simply returns because they have not, correctly labeled that this is not just me working a job and getting burnt out. This is me being a human and consistently outgrowing things that were once important to me, exciting to me, everything like that. And so it's like, I think the solution is to always have something going on outside of work. You have to find a way to bring that excitement back in. If you're feeling disengaged, if you're feeling tired for no reason, if you find yourself doing the bare minimum at work because you can literally do the job with your eyes closed, you've got outgrown written all over you. You have to be able to make the differentiation because if you mislabel this, you'll probably do what I did, right? You'll jump from job to job to job and the feeling keeps returning and you have no idea why, or you are quitting jobs randomly, you are sabotaging your career, you know, your job presents you with a great opportunity, but because you are so in your head and so foggy, you don't even see the new opportunity for what it is, that it can be new and different. It can bring on some excitement and you sabotage new opportunities. So you sabotage your growth and you're allowing the burnout to dictate at all of your moves and what you do going forward when you really need to be looking for sources of excitement, sources of leverage. For me, sources of I'm always super excited about earning income independently and on my own. And if you consider yourself a corporatepreneur like me, you know exactly what that means. It means good job or no good job. I'm still motivated by making my own money, whether it be for job security, job protection, just the thrill of it, just the challenge of it. Like I have always found fulfillment in that. And so it's always been this balancing act of finding a job that's exciting enough and controlling the feeling of outgrowing that job. I want you to keep your good employment. I want you to find some other sources of leverage, some other sources of excitement. And I really want to stop you from trying to vacation it away and rest it away. I mean, the reality is that if you're taking pretty good care of yourself, you're getting good sleep, you have some physical activity, and you're not under any immense, coming from an immense pressurized situation. You're not coming out of the pressure cooker where you was just going hard, doing the most, and now you're trying to just you're ready to collapse. If that is not your situation, stop calling it burnout. It is not. You have simply outgrown your situation and you need to figure out what to do. You do not want to waste the next several years, zombieing through your career, zombieing through your life. And if you let this feeling of burnout and you take a stance that there's nothing I can do about it, if you take that attitude, that's exactly what will happen. You will look up and you will have lost years behind this. And who has time for that? So I want you to stop trying to recover and I want you to start trying to expand. Expansion looks like no longer looking to your job for fulfillment. Your job was not meant to satisfy every aspect of your life. It was actually the whole purpose of your job is for you to make a living. Fulfillment was never a part of the package. It's a bonus. Like some people really love their job and they got really lucky that they found something that they are perpetually obsessed with. But if you haven't, that's okay as well. That just means you're a person like me who needs to look outward for expansion opportunities, for excitement, for interest. And I think once you know that about yourself, now you're in the power position. When new opportunities are presented at work, when you start feeling tired, when when all these feelings are bubbling up, you have a defense mechanism. You know how to deal with them without self-sabotaging. So if you're trying to figure out if you have outgrown your current situation, take stock in what is repetitive for you, what can you not stand doing. If there is 90% of your job that you just can't stand to do anymore, you've just outgrown it. So take stock in that. Take stock in what is draining you both mentally and physically when it comes to work. And if it's if it's an integral part of the role, you can't wrest that away. I think that's what needs to be said. It's like, if you are a truck driver and you no longer like driving, it doesn't matter how much sleep you get at night. It doesn't matter how many vacations you take. You still don't want to do it. So ask yourself, be honest with yourself about that. And most importantly, start to think about what does make you feel alive. If it's the run club that you do on the weekends or the Pilates class or the what have you, it doesn't mean you need to quit your good job, your six-figure job, to become a Pilates instructor. It doesn't mean you have to drop everything to go start running marathons. It means you need to figure out how to do both until you can leverage another situation financially. If you've had financial leverage, quit your job today. But you're watching this video because you are still in corporate and you know you want to do more and you're just trying to figure out how. And I think the first step in doing that is correctly placing and correctly labeling your feelings and emotions about your job. You want to make sure the next move you make that you are fully aware of the feelings, what they stand for, what they mean. You always want to move from a power position. And so that means being a few steps ahead of everyone else. So let me know in the comments. Are you actually burnt out or have you just outgrown what you're doing? I make videos for corporatepreneurs who are building wealth and leverage outside of corporate. You can find me on Substack at Confidence is Cash, and you can see how I'm using AI as my secret weapon to stack income streams and to build wealth on my own terms at the Prompt Life Podcast here on YouTube. All of the important links are in the description. That's all I got today, guys.